Talking about something that was found in my scan. So we recently found out gender and had our scan where they go over the little one's health. So I thought I would update you guys and share what was found. So excuse me, I am out of breath, obviously. So I'm now 21 weeks pregnant, and if you guys watched my gender reveal, we are having another girl power. So if this is the first time you're watching me, then I have 3 children. I have all girls. So we have a 17-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 16-month-old, and I'm pregnant again with another girl, and I also have a stepdaughter, so girl power. So yeah, we are very excited. The little one is due in February. So when they did the scan, they did find that my placenta was bleeding, which obviously when you hear something like that is very scary. So just to kind of rewind a little bit and get some context, when the lady was doing the scan, I'm not actually sure what the official name for them is, but we're going to call her the scan lady for this video. So when she was actually doing the scan, first she was checking all of the baby's measurements and everything was where it was meant to be, size wise, everything was looking really good. Little girl was looking healthy and that. And then because the position of the baby and how she was deciding to cooperate, she decided to check the gender next. So she asked if we wanted to know, and we said yes. And then she carried on then, because obviously the baby moved positions, and then she went quiet, which is never a good sign. And then she called in a senior member of staff, and they said basically what they found is where my placenta is attached to the wall of my womb, they could see bleeding behind it. So yeah, I have to say, once you hear that, the kind of everything else kind of, not that it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not shy to say it, we were hoping for a boy. We've got a lot of girls. It would have been nice to have a little boy, because this is definitely going to be our last child. So, but I think hearing that, it just puts everything into perspective 100%. As soon as they said that, the fact that, we were going to have another little girl, and we were going to be revealing the gender to the children, and to the children to the girls and things like that, it just went out the window. And yeah, as soon as they explained it all and everything, I have to say I was just so upset. I started crying. It was a whole big thing. So yeah, I started crying. I think, asking a pregnant lady to remain calm if you heard something like that is basically like asking a toddler to sit still for 10 hours. It's just not going to happen. At least it's not for me anyway. So yeah, I've never had I'm very, very lucky, and touch wood, and I've always had very straightforward pregnancies. They've never found anything, and yeah, I'm just very blessed. And I think until you've heard something, you don't know how blessed you are. So just for context, the baby is 100% healthy. They're happy with the little one and everything. All the baby's measurements and her development and everything is where it needs to be. But obviously with the placenta, they do have to keep a closer eye on things and monitor me more and things like that. So I will be getting additional scans, which I was already having some additional scans. So basically, for a bit of backstory, my children are little when they're born. I'm little, so for me it's normal, but they're all on the 10th centile, so they're all quite small little ones. I don't know whether it's because I'm all girls, but I'm only 5'2" and a bit, and I'm quite slim, do you know what I mean? So I am quite small, and I think all the girls follow suit with me, because I was quite little when I was born. But they were £7, £6.9, and Phoebe, who was my 16-month-old, sorry, I'm so out of breath. So Phoebe, who was my 16-month-old, was only £6.5. So because of that, I always have extra growth scans and everything. All the girls have been healthy. There's never been any issues after delivery or anything like that. But obviously it's just something that they like to do. So I already would have had extra scans anyway, but now I've gone from being midwife-led care, which basically just means that you can have a home birth. You have less contact basically, and less, not invasion, but you're more seen, and you're more in contact and things like that. And it just means that you're more likely to give birth in a hospital environment, and you wouldn't be considered for things like a birthing centre or having a home birth because you're considered more high risk. So it's kind of changed the plans a little bit. So this was all happening on the Thursday. Today is Monday, so it's very early in the morning. Phoebe's not even awake yet, which is why I'm able to sit down and record this video. So what time is it? Yes, it's only 7:30, so it's still quite early. So I'm hoping to hear back from the midwife, because she basically had to email the consultant, let them know like what they found and everything, and then they will decide if I can be scanned at the hospital I'm currently at, or whether I have to go to like a bigger hospital where they have like better machines and everything. So from what I can understand, because obviously they use like medical terms, but then after the scan and everything I went to see the midwife and she kind of explained things a little bit better. So she basically said that she's not overly concerned, but they will have the consultant make the decision then. So he will decide whether I need to be seen like, you know, in a bigger hospital where they've got like the better machines and everything like I said. So it just basically means I'm going to be having more scans, be kept a closer eye on, and that I am now consultant-led care, which basically just means that you're considered more high risk and you're more likely to deliver on like in like the labour suite in the hospital rather than being able to have, you know, like a home birth and things like that. And it just means that you're seen more regular, and you know, they just keep a close eye on you basically. Like I went in for the scan, like I said, everything was completely normal like I've always had, you know, up until the point of finding out about the placenta. And yeah, and then I got upset and then we went back into the waiting room then to wait to see the midwife, and I got upset again. My partner was with me, so he was amazing, he was really supportive. I was a big mess. Yeah, I just think you're like hormonal anyway, and obviously it's already a stressful time, so I probably would have cried either way, to be honest. But yeah, it was just, it definitely puts things like in perspective. Like after they said that, they literally could have told me that, you know, it was an alien, like boy, girl, I just didn't care anymore. I was like, oh my god, I want my child to be healthy. And I think that's what upset me, like, you know, but yeah, nobody's like panicking or anything apart from me, obviously. Yeah, but it's definitely hard, like here. And then like when we were sitting in the waiting room, I remember saying, oh, you know, I feel really guilty, which is ridiculous because obviously, you know, you can't change it. But I think, you know, when you're a mum, when you're a parent, you just naturally feel guilty for everything that goes wrong, even though you have no control, you know. So yeah, but anyway, that is like the main update for my second trimester video, is like with finding the issue with the placenta. I don't actually know what it's called, they didn't like name it or anything, but they just said basically like where the placenta is like attached to the wall of my womb, they can see like bleeding. That's what she said anyway. She said sometimes it can just be, you know, because like I'm quite slim, and when the slimmer you are, the more they can see. She did explain it to me. I didn't really understand half of what she said. Plus, I think when you're upset, when you're in the moment, you're trying to like take in that information, you're not really fully understanding everything. And she did say that sometimes it can be something or nothing, sometimes it can indicate like the placenta coming away from like the wall of the womb, which is really scary. But the first thing they asked me before they even said what it was, like they asked me if I had had any bleeding, which I haven't, thankfully, touch wood again, so that's really good. So obviously I'm just keeping an eye on things and resting, and so it's just crazy. And then like I said, went in to see the midwife then and finally pulled myself together. And then, you know, she went through everything. Obviously you take your notes every with you, so I had my notes on me, and then she like swapped it over to like the consultant care. She was really lovely, the midwife that we seen. She, you know, emailed the doctor like there and then in front of us, and you know, she was really reassuring and everything. So like I said, I'm just waiting now to hear back, because they only scan, they only give you the scans there I think on a Thursday, so I just need to find out now what is going to be happening. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully she'll ring me today, and yeah, I can find out, you know, if they want me to go, like I said, to the hospital I usually go to, or to like a bigger hospital. We'll have to wait and see. Because she did mention that, you know, depending on what the consultant says, I may need to go to a larger hospital because the equipment is better, so they'll be able to like see the placenta more in detail, I'm guessing. So yeah, other than that, everything is, you know, completely healthy. Like I said, everything with you know, baby girl, all like the measurements, all of her development and everything, they're not concerned at all. So if there is something going on with the placenta, it's not affecting the baby girl at the moment or anything. She's growing, you know what I mean, she's on track. So that is very, very reassuring. But you know, as soon as you hear the words "we've found something," it's very difficult then to like be calm and relax about it. And I just think I'll just be anxious until I know like exactly what's going on, and I've seen a consultant, and you know, so I'm kind of like in that waiting period at the moment. But yeah, we did have like a little gender reveal. If you've seen the video, I do have a playlist for all of my pregnancy content. If it's something you guys are interested in or you want to catch up with that, I'll be at the end of the video, come up in the end screen for you guys. So yeah, if you're interested in pregnancy content. I also do have all of my birth stories on my channel as well. I didn't have a channel until my toddler. I think she was about 4 or 5 months old when I started my YouTube channel. But I did do videos about all my birth stories. So if you guys are interested in that, you can kind of like get an idea of like what my past experiences have been like and things like that, then those are available, so that'll come up in the end screen for you too. But anyways, welcome back guys. I hope you're all having a fantastic day and that you're doing really well. And if you're new here, then welcome. Thank you for watching this video. So that is the main thing I wanted to share. Other than that, I also do have a condition called IBD, which stands for inflammatory bowel disease, which sounds really scary, but mine is under control, which I'm extremely grateful for. So I will put a link in the description to like where you can find information about that illness. But if you Google it, it will come up, and there's like a whole scale of different variations of the illness. Luckily mine is on the lower end, but obviously, you know, it is something that I live with day to day. And like the pregnancy, I can't take my, like the first trimester in particular, I couldn't take my medication, and I can take it a bit more now, obviously in a minimal dosage, and I have to say that the flare-ups have not been fun. So if you guys have any like gut issues, you'll know what I'm saying, but they're not fun to deal with. The phone's going up, so that's another thing that's been less than enjoyable. Luckily that side of things seems to be calming down now as like the hormones have settled slightly. But I've also been like having a little bit of insomnia. Like I woke up this morning, it was like 4 AM, and I'd had a really horrible nightmare that I was bleeding, which was horrible, and then I just couldn't get back to sleep. And then some nights, like I go to bed early feeling really tired and I just lay there. So I'm like wide awake for nothing. Also my nails are like, look at those. They're my own guys, they are just growing continuously. I think I mentioned this before, I can't remember on one video, but it's just so long guys. And usually like my nails get to like a certain length and I have to cut them all off because they start breaking. But they are like, whoa, they're like really long, no need for falsies. Yeah, other symptoms, I've been having like backache, which is very common at this time of pregnancy, you know, womb tenderness I suppose you could call it, and aches and pains and things like that. Nothing too dramatic though. But more excitingly, and very exciting news, the little one started kicking. I started feeling little flutters just before the 18-week mark, and now it's like really like rhythmic and there's a pattern to it, which is lovely. And my daughters have like felt her kicking and things, which is so nice to see. So yeah, that's been really, really lovely and like reassuring as well, because now that she's been kicking for a few weeks, you know, she has like a pattern that I'm like really used to, and it's nice to like, you know, be able to feel that's really reassuring, especially after hearing like the issue with the placenta. It's just really nice to be able to feel her kick. And it's like, oh okay, you are okay, you know what I mean, and things like that, so that's lovely. Yeah, I also just wanted to say, like, if you've had a hard pregnancy, or if you're pregnant at the moment and you know you've got things going on, and you've had like, you know, you've been diagnosed with issues with a little one, or your pregnancy has been troublesome, then I really, really hope things go so well for you. And it just goes to show that you should never take like your health and well-being for granted, and the health of your children, because you just never know, do you? But we are remaining positive. I'm also happy to report that my iron levels are really good. So in my last pregnancy I did have to go into hospital and have like an iron infusion, because my iron levels were so low and they weren't coming back up, you know, they weren't happy with the level they were getting to just with iron tablets. So I went in with, when I was pregnant with Phoebes, my toddler, and had an iron infusion, which went really smoothly and everything, and now my iron levels are really good, so I'm really happy about that, because obviously, you know, you need your energy and you need all that good iron goodness for when you have your little one and things like that, so that's really good news, so that's something to be positive about. But yeah, other than, you know, the placenta issue, everything else is going really well. The checks are going really well. I actually have my next midwife appointment is booked in, I think it's on Halloween. But like I said, I haven't heard back from the midwife yet, so they may want to see me more regular, I don't know. But I will be making another update and doing like a 3rd trimester update, and we can go over any extra scans and things like that that I've had in the meantime for that. So I've also had the beginnings of heartburn start. Luckily I haven't got like anything like acid reflux or anything like that, but I've definitely been experiencing the heartburn, so that'll probably come in full swing soon. I remember having it really bad with my first pregnancy. It was absolutely horrid. So that is my 2nd trimester update and all of the baby bump updates. I will give you guys a little bump update and show you how the bump is looking. So here is the bump. I feel like I am definitely popping like crazy. Look at that, guys. So yeah, she's definitely growing on in there.